Hey everyone, I hope everyone's having a fabulous week this week. And this week I thought it would be fun to make a unicorn pop-up card. So here it is. It says, "You're like a unicorn who brings ice cream and cupcakes. You're too good to be true." And then I have some ice cream and cupcakes over here. The paper in the background says magical, and then you open it up and you have this cool unicorn. And I just love how the head and the tail moves. Isn't that neat? And then of course on the back we have a place where we can write a message. So yeah guys, so let's get into it and let's make this unicorn card. So let's go. Okay guys, now that we're here in Design Space, these are the three items that you're going to be needing out of images. They are all free, so go and grab those real quick. And let's go ahead and get started on this. So this guy up here, what we're going to do is highlight it, and then we're going to go over to the layers on the right hand side, and we're going to delete everything but the hair. So you can just click on the item and then right click and hit delete, and it'll get rid of each item you don't want. And then once we have that, in this guy, we are going to right click, duplicate, right click, duplicate again. So you should have a total of 3 of these. And in one, we're going to keep the horn. So I'm going to go and delete everything but the horn. And then we have the ears still because it's attached to this piece. So we'll just go into contour and hit each of the ears and then close it out. And then we have this piece that we need. Then on this one, I'm going to get rid of everything but the eyelashes. So that done, we can move that aside. And on this one, what we are going to keep are the ears. So go delete everything but the gray ears. And we can move it aside. And now on our horse, we are going to go in and delete everything but the tail. So we're going to go and delete the brown piece, the hooves, and now we just have 2 pieces left. So hide one of those because the tail is 2 different colors. And then we're going to click on, I'm doing the lighter pink, and then go over to contour, and you're going to hit hide all contours. Then we just want the pieces back in the tail, which is the first 3 pieces. And then everything else is hid, and then we have that. So go back over to layers, and we're going to get the other piece, and we're going to hide the lighter pink piece, and then we're just going to do the exact same thing. Hide everything. And everything is hid. Then what we can do is bring the other piece back up, and we should have this piece here. Okay? While we're on this piece, let's go ahead and work on that. I'm just going to grab all of these and group them and just bring them down out of the way. Okay, so since we're working on the tail, I like to work up at the very top. And this is what we're going to end up creating for our tail. But before we go any further, what we need to do is rotate our tail 276 degrees. So we're going to do 276. And then once we have that, we're going to go up here to the top and we're going to change that to 1.246. Okay? And it should have made your height 1.742 in height. And then we're going to go up to offset, and you're going to change the offset to 0.045 and go ahead and hit apply. Then move this out of the way and then click on the black part and go over to contour. And we want to get rid of this little triangle here. So let's get rid of that. And then we can move this back. Actually, we can just keep it out of the way. Then once we have that piece, we're going to go in to shapes and let's get a square and bring our tail as far over to 0 as possible. Now it looks like my tail I can get for my X is at 0 and then my Y is at 0.028. So I can't go any further with that piece, but that's okay. We want it right there. Just make sure yours is on the same. And then with that square, we're going to resize it, the width to 0.674. Make sure you unlock it, and then the height to 0.417. Okay? Then that square we're going to take and put the X on 0.01 and the Y at 0.88. Then we're going to grab them both and go down to the bottom, and we are going to hit weld. And then we can send this piece to the back, and put our little tail pieces on here. And these pieces are just decorative pieces we can use to make our tail colorful. And then what we need to do is resize our tail. And what we need to resize it to, and then grab them both and you hit group. And we want to resize it to 2.964. So let's unlock it. 2.964 by 1.401. And then we should have this. Let's put this back in the corner as far as we can get it. Mine looks like it's both going to be on 0.028. And then we can move, ungroup, and move our little tail out of the way. And let's go to shapes and get a score line. And then we're going to rotate that score line 90 degrees. Excuse me, in height 1.069. Again, my position for my tail is on 0.028, and so is my Y at 0.028. So we're going to take that score line and we're going to place the X at 0.042 and then the Y at 0.986. And then we're going to grab it and hit attach. With this piece, what we're going to do is highlight it, right click, and duplicate. And then once we have this piece, we're going to go up to flip and then flip horizontal. And we want this going the opposite way so we can put another piece on the other side so both sides of our tails look nice and pretty. So then we can group it all together and just go ahead and move this out of the way. Okay, now let's get our hair. And the first thing we're going to do is go up to flip and flip horizontal. Resize the hair. The width is going to be at 2.132. and it should make the height at 1.136. Okay, then once we have it resized, we are going to rotate it to 14.89. So 14.89. And then we're going to go to offset, and we're going to make sure we're on 0.045 and hit apply. And then we're going to move this out of the way and go to contour and hide that little piece right there. And then we can change this to whatever color we would like and place that in there. You can hit align and center and group. And then we have our piece of hair. So we have that. Let's resize this, and we are going to resize this to 2.228. And then we have that piece, and we can set it aside. Now we can get our horn. So we have this piece. We're going to go up to offset. We're still using the 0.045 and hit apply. And then what we're going to do is grab them both, hit group, and we're going to resize it, the width to 0.533, and your height should be 1.634. And then we can move that aside for our finished piece. Now what we're going to do is go to shapes, get this piece here, and then we're going to go to shapes again, and we're going to get a triangle. This piece we are going to take and we are going to rotate it 180 degrees. We are going to resize it to 3.586 and the height 5.415. And then we're going to place it as far as we can up in the top for the X and the Y, which mine are both on 0.003 for my X and my Y. Then that triangle we are going to take and resize, and we are going to make the width at 3.569 and the height at 1.815. Now making sure our orange piece here is still at 0.003 for the X and the Y. We're going to take that triangle and we're going to place the X at 0.012 and then the Y at 3.603. Then we're going to grab them both and we're going to hit slice. And then we can get rid of everything except for this piece here. Okay, now what we're going to do is take this orange piece and we're going to position the X at 0.011 and then your Y at 0.028. Then let's go to shapes. We're going to get this shape right here. Once we get this shape, we're going to right click, duplicate, and we're going to take one of those and we are going to resize it to 0.871 by 2.124. Then making sure that your orange is still at 0.011 and the Y at 0.028, we're going to place this leg that we just did, the X at 0 and then the Y at 4.174. And we're going to take our other leg and we're going to resize it, the width by 0.871 and the height by 2.514. We're going to place the X at 2.73 and the Y at 4.346. Then once we have this in place, we're going to grab it all, and then we're going to hit weld. Then we're going to go to shapes, and we're going to get a score line. Now we're going to take the orange piece that we've created, and we are going to make sure the X is in 0 and the Y, the furthest I can get it over, is 0.001. So that's what I will be working off of. Now we're going to go to shapes, get a score line. We are going to make that score line 2.246 in height. We're going to rotate it 45 degrees. We're going to place the X at 0 and the Y at 0. Then we're going to right click, duplicate. It's going to be the same height, 2.246. We're going to rotate it 315 degrees. We're going to place the X at 1.6 and the Y at 0. And since we're here, let's just go ahead and right click, duplicate, and then we're going to bring it down here. It's going to be the same in height. The X we're going to place on 1.6, and the Y we are going to place at 2.302. Then let's go back up to the top and right click, duplicate that line, and then we're going to drop them down to the X at 0 and the Y at 2.302. Then let's go to shapes, get a score line. We are going to make that score line 2.5 inches long. We're going to place the X at 1.628 and the Y at 0. Then let's right click, duplicate. We're going to make that score line 1.25 inches in height. We're going to go up to operations and we're going to change it to a basic cut. Then we're going to place that line at 1.628 and the Y at 0. Then once we have this all, we're going to grab it all and hit attach. Shapes, and we're going to get this shape here. Now we're going to make this orange piece here, and what we're going to do is unlock our top, and we're going to change it 2.515 by 1.764. And then we're just going to set this aside, and let's go back to shapes again and get another one of these. And we are going to change that shape to unlock it and change it to 2.517 by 3.131. Then we're going to take the shape we just made, rotate it 180 degrees, the X and Y at 0. Now for our second piece that we made, this shorter piece, we are going to place that the X at 0.003 and the Y at 1.875. And then you should have this. Then if you want, you can go ahead and hit weld. And now we have this piece. Now we need to go get this ear. Once we have this ear, we're going to want to resize it to 3.38 by 4.002. And then you're going to right click, duplicate, and then you're going to go up to flip and flip horizontal. Now what we're going to do with this piece here is move it down. We're going to move it down to 0.456 for the X, and for the Y we're going to put it at 0.364. Okay. The right ear, And we are going to place it at 2.543, and then your Y is going to be at 0.001. Then we're going to take the left ear, and then we're going to place it at 0.003 and the Y at 0.12. And then we're going to grab it all and hit weld. Now let's go over to shapes, get a score line. We're going to make that score line 2.301. We're going to rotate it 135 degrees. The X we're going to place at 0.043 and the Y at 0.103. And then we're going to right click, duplicate. We're going to make this line 2.318. We're going to rotate it 225 degrees. The X should be at 1.667 and the Y at 0.093. Then we're going to go to shapes, get a score line. We're going to make that score line 3.634 inches long. We're going to place the X at 1.675 and the Y at 0.368. Then we can just grab it all and hit attach. And then we have this piece done. And we can move it to the side. The eyelashes is 1.559 and in height is 0.29. Let's go to shapes. Let's get a square. We're going to make that square 10.5 by 6.5. Then we're going to go to shapes, get a score line. We're going to make that score line 6.5 inches long, and we're going to place it in the center of our card at 5.25 inches. Now we're going to go to shapes, get a score line. We're going to make that score line 1 inch long. Then we're going to go up to operations and change that to a pin. And we're going to put the X at 5.25 and the Y at 1.818. This is just a guide to help us know where to place the tail of the unicorn. Then once we have that, we're going to grab it all and hit attach. Then we are going to get 4 pretty pieces of paper. There's one for each side of the card. And we are going to make these the width 5.125 by 6.375. And you have 4 of these. And that is it, guys. So I'm going to zoom out here. And this is all the pieces that you will need to make the basic part of this card. And then anything else that you would like to add to the card. Now, don't forget to save. And then I'll meet you back at the table. Okay guys, since we're back here at the table, to start with is card base. Let's go ahead and work our score line on there. And just keep in mind when you're working your score line that right here I have my line that I use with the pen to mark where I need to place my piece. And you want to keep this closer to the top of the page. Let's get our tail and put our tail piece together. I'm using vinyl for my pretty pieces. If you're using cardstock, you'll just glue it on. This is the tail piece, and it's okay if it goes over the score line on here. And we're just going to line everything up and place it down. And there you have it. Now I'm going to work my score line for this. Now the line we made here for your tail. Then once you have it in position, you want that score line to be on this score line, okay? And again, this line that we made is somewhere in there you want to place it. And it doesn't matter which side the flap, this part is down where we're going to glue it. And for this piece, I'm going to glue mine this way. And just about where my line end is just about where I like to place this end on. So I'm going to go ahead and put glue down and place it down. So you guys can see about how far I am from the end of my paper to my tail. So now that we have this piece on, what we can do is go ahead and place our pretty paper on. So now that we have our tail on, let's go ahead and work this part of the horse or the unicorn. So we can fold this down the middle in half. And then what I like to do is work one of these two sides here. And then after I have it worked, I'll fold it in half the other way. And then take this thing here and put it up against the score line and work it. And this is the way it's going to go down. You'll push this in and like so, and that's how it's going to move in your card. And then what we can do is work these two score lines up here. There you go. So now when we take this part, we have our tail glued to our card. We have the score lines here worked. What you need to do is fold this up and fold it in half, okay? Now, we are going to put the tail about halfway down this cut line. So if you do it like so, then what we're going to do is fold this part over, right? And we want to get this all lined up in the score line. Very important. All of this to be lined up in the crease of the score line. And you just kind of want to pull this back and see about where you are. So again, about halfway down the split of this. So that's about where I have mine. See that there? And then I'm gonna fold it this way. So we're gonna fold it over like so. And this is how I have everything, like a sandwich. And then we're just gonna put glue on our folded section. Making sure everything is lined up in the crease of our card. And then once it's ready, just close your card. Then we're going to flip the card over and do the exact same thing to this side of the card. We're just going to put glue right here in this section and then close our card onto it. Then when we open it up, okay, what we're gonna do is put our hand in here. First, let's make sure our glue is dry. And then kind of push this up, but your legs need to be pushed down. So like so, okay? So push the body up, this down. And then what we're gonna do is just close our card up and making it folded all in place, and then give it a good rub down. And there we have it. Okay guys, now that we got our body on, our tail on, it's looking good here, we can go ahead and work the head. And so we're going to score down the middle. And then work one of the diagonal score lines. And then we can just fold it in half like so, and then fold back the other way. Okay. So on this one, you're gonna make sure it's folded up like so. Okay. So this V goes in, this V we want it to poke out. And you can fold your ears to give it some dimension to it. And you could either fold it in this way or out. I don't think it's really gonna matter. I like mine in personally like this. And then you're just gonna line this crease, the fold, in this fold here. But before we do that, I'm gonna put on the hair. So this is the hair, and you're gonna put him in this little V section on this side, and he'll sit like this. So it'll sit like so. And then when you open and close it, the hair will move back and forth. Okay? So I'm going to put a, excuse me, a little glue on mine. That's how much glue I used on it. There. And it kind of just sits, excuse me, like so. And if you close this up, it'll find where it sits nicely. Isn't that the cutest? I just love how the hair moves. Love it. Okay, so then we can go ahead and put the eyelashes on. Do y'all like using vinyl? Sometimes I like to use like paper for mine, but I feel like vinyl, I can get things done faster. But with paper, to me, it does give it to me, a little bit more dimension. There we go. Looking good, guys. Looking good. So we got the hair on, the eyelashes on, put the head on. It can go as high up as you want it or as low as you want it. And I feel like I like mine about right there. So I'm just going to put a little glue on each side of the legs here. And remember, it's about getting your score lines all lined up nice and evenly. So the most important thing is making sure your score line is matching up with here. And then we can just fold it up, give it a rub down, and there we have it. Just so cute. Okay guys, so now what I'm going to do is just go ahead and finish up and put the rest of my stuff that I want to put on here, and then I'll be back to show you what I've come up with. See you in just a sec. Okay guys, so the last thing we need to do is just put our horn on, and this is right here in this little space I like to cover up. Well, there's like a little U here, and you can put it straight like this, you can lean it. It's really however you would like. There's really no right or wrong way. So I think I'm just going to put mine just like so. Like that. It says, lessons from a unicorn. There's magic inside you. Dreams can and do come true. Anything is possible. It's okay to be different. You don't need wings to fly. And I thought this was just a really cute little unicorn to add to the corner. And then of course we open it up. And I'm just loving the hair and just how this turned out. And I just did some clouds on this one. I thought clouds would be neat, like it's in the sky. And then of course we can close it. And then on the back we have a place where we can write a message. And there you have it, guys. But before we go, I need to tell you a joke. So here it is for this week. What has more lives than a cat? You give? A frog, because it croaks every night. Guys, I just want to say thanks so much for crafting with me, and I hope you enjoyed this card, and I'll see you next time. Bye!